everybody. Welcome to the DevOps Enterprise Summit San Francisco 2017. My name is Ashish Kuthiala with DevOps TV today, and it's my pleasure here to welcome Mark Hornbeek from Trace 3. Welcome, Mark. How are you doing?
Hey, Ashish, thanks for having me here. I appreciate having a chance to talk to you here.
No, absolutely.
At DevOps.com, or DevOps Enterprise Summit.
So what brings you here, Mark? Let's start with that.
I'm actually kind of wearing three hats. It may look like I only have one on, but I'm here representing Trace 3, which is my employer, and we're a value-added reseller, and we have a DevOps practice. So we actually cover, we call ourselves Total DevOps. In fact, there's a little sticker that you can put on your laptop.
Absolutely.
It's we cover the whole waterfront of DevOps, so products through our partner channels, as well as all the consulting services and engineering that goes with it. So that's Trace 3. And the other hat, if you like, is I work with Electric Cloud on, they're one of our partners, because one of my roles at Trace 3 is a partner manager, and Electric Cloud is one of the partners, and I'm doing a joint talk on Wednesday afternoon on microservices, myths and realities, together with Mark Tomska at Electric Cloud. And other than that, I just enjoy, DevOps. I've kind of made a career out of it.
Right.
And love to hear everybody's ideas, and this is probably the best place to be for that.
So before we started filming, you and I were talking about, different principles around DevOps and what different companies should think about.
Yes.
So you listed 27, but very quickly broke it down into 9 tangible things.
Yes.
Do you mind telling the audience here how they should start to think about this?
Well, we mainly through Trace 3, we go into a lot of enterprises and help them with their transformations. They're usually not the unicorns, because the unicorns are already doing it on their own.
Absolutely.
But the guys that are needing help, and trying to even just explain DevOps and getting a roadmap that works is challenging. So we start with some education, and there's 9 disciplines associated with getting even what Gene Kim's called the first way working. Leadership.
Absolutely.
There's a discipline around getting leadership organized for DevOps, and then the culture, which a lot of people talk about culture, and then application design principles, whether it's containerized or legacy and so on. Integration, continuous testing, elastic infrastructures, continuous monitoring,
Absolutely.
security, and delivery and deployment principles. I kind of lump them together. I mean, there's literally 9 disciplines, and each one of those has some, dimensions to it. And I actually talk about 3 dimensions: the people aspects, the process, and the technology and tools, right? So there's literally 27 things, if that's a cross product of dimensions times disciplines.
I couldn't agree more. I think they're very well broken down into, the 9 disciplines where you can start to think about it. Does it typically matter where you start?
Yeah, every company they have their own journey. There's no standards place to start. Every one is unique, unfortunately. There's no consistent cookie cutter approach. But what we like to do, and not everybody has the patience to do it, unfortunately, but what we find most successful is if you start with a set of analysis workshops where you bring the right people together.
Absolutely.
And you start with goal setting and leadership workshop where you kind of get the team that's involved in the enterprise to agree on what their DevOps goals are.
Right.
And then it goes to another kind of workshop where you're talking about more of the, their gaps, like where are you now relative to industry best practices? And that identifies okay, if those are your goals and those are your gaps, then let's go through a value chain analysis relative to what their goals are.
Absolutely. And
identify more specific items that they could work on to get towards those goals. And then you can drill down even further, tool chain analysis and so on.
You start with a workshop.
Yeah.
You want to assess where they are.
Yeah.
You want to kind of see what the gap is.
Right.
And then lay out your roadmap.
Yeah, so that is the preferred approach. But I can tell you many enterprises, they just want to go in and solve a problem in, let's say, their inventory management system or maybe their delivery. But the best approach, in my opinion, is to start with the workshops.
So let's pick one of those topics for today, right?
Okay.
So you said you're here to talk about microservices.
Yes.
Often in large enterprises, we find that the architectural, the lay of the land or the architectures that are in place are very monolithic.
Mm-hmm.
They work really well. It's hard to kind of break that up into microservices. obviously, you gain a lot of agility if you use microservices versus one big giant monolithic architecture.
Yes.
So let's just deep dive into that one aspect of
Okay.
what's your advice to large enterprises dealing with such an issue of how do they move towards microservices? Can they do something about the existing architecture, or do they need to completely rip and replace and build a microservices architecture to gain the speed?
Well, boy, it would be great for you to attend that talk on Wednesday, because
Definitely,
this is exactly the sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of myths and realities. The way I think a large enterprise, if they have a large existing legacy app, it's not a bad place to start, right? You need to know, as long as you've got still the expertise on that app, because that's critical, right? You're going to start sharding off components that can be built into microservices, but do it with you have to build the scaffolding, the process scaffolding and tooling,
Right.
along with it. It's not just a matter of changing the app. All of these 27 things have to be kept in balance as you go along. So basically, you start with figuring out what part of that big legacy app can be sharded off reasonably. Get that right, get the pipeline for it right, all the scaffolding, the tooling, the tool chain for one,
Right.
then two, and then build. It takes time, right? You don't do it overnight, for sure. It's a strategic approach rather than just a big bang approach.
No, I think your talk will be very interesting, and we all look forward to it. For our readers and for our viewers who are watching this, there will be a recording available after the fact. You can come and watch it. Thank you again very much for being with us today, and we look forward to your talk.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us at the DevOps Enterprise Summit San Francisco 2017.